All right, here we go with draft repairs video number 4, volume 4. We left off last time going over the top and bottom blocks, getting the motor mount all set up. So now I was going to jig it up. So what I did was I set the jig up before. I've shown this before in the video. And what I did was ensure I had 0 incidents here. This is even 0, 0. This is 2 7/8 and 2 7/8. So it's perfectly parallel to the table. The tail is 4 3/8 and 4 3/8, which is perfect. I use the incidence meter as well, right? So I'm reading 0 and the bubble's right in the middle. So I know now that the plane is at 0, 0. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to put this piece in here. And this is where it's going to become important to critically align it. Both incidents here, making sure that that thrust line is 0, 0, 0, it matches it all. Right, so once that's critical. And the other thing is, and straight down the middle, how does it look? And offset. So what I do is I have an aluminum jig here, aluminum spacer that goes on here that holds flush up against this. So now I know that that's parallel. This line and that line are exactly parallel. So I'll use my motor mount jig, which I know is parallel with the perfect 90 here. We'll put that on there. So we're going to start working on getting this aligned. And this is where you really got to take your time and get it right. This is where you can have trim problems if none of this is right. So what I do is I run it in so close. So now what I can do, because I have reference marks on both sides where the wing sits, what I can do is measure down. So that's 2.5, 2.5. So I know it's going to come up to 2 7/8. And I'll show this here on the side. So using my reference lines, that's 2 7/8. And that's a little left. So I know that my fuse is twisted a little. And I know I got to come up a little one. What I should do is mark the jig too. But now I'm looking down, 2 7/8, a little more than 2 7/8. Okay, so I know it's dipping back a little bit, the structure, so I'll have to work on that as well. 2 7/8. Okay. All right, so we're pretty close there to where it should be. Now, if I did this all right, it'll line pretty much up. Wow, look at that. I mean, it goes right in. So at the bottom, I got to make sure it's in on both sides. So now we got to check all these things too. Okay. Just some cursory measurements. So one of the better rules, they're always better if using a scale. It's a little bit more accurate than a tape measure. And if that's on and on, 2 7/8. Okay. So my measurements on all 4 sides are equal. The other thing is you can measure off the top because we left that top purposely that way. 4.5. Yeah. Okay, 4.5. All right. So now this is all roughly in. What we want to do now, the other thing we want to do is we want to measure the both sides of this. The 22 1/4. and 22 and 5/16. So that's what you definitely want it to be that way. That's exactly how you want it. Now the other thing we've got to do is we're going to have to look down this. And I use a laser. It's just helpful. So I'll get my laser to kind of help do that so I can get a good datum line right down the middle. I mean, you can, don't mind the back of my head, but you can look down at to see, is the nose straight up in here or is it not? All right. So far, so good. I'm pretty impressed with a lot of this. It's fit up pretty close. Got to come back a little bit more. See? And as we're doing this, the other thing we're going to be able to do is we're going to be able to fit this on. I'm going to be able to trim this back and get it fit on the way I want. I'm going to be able to lay this thing back and kind of trim it in. And when this thing's all held together, it'll keep everything in perfect alignment. So before I do release this from the jig, after we get it glued in here and here, and I'm satisfied with it, I'm going to work the top piece in. And once I'm satisfied with the top piece, then I'll glue it in and then release it from a jig. So this way I got not only the sides, I get the top all attached. And then it's really just finishing up the bottom. So not bad at all. So I'm pretty happy with that so far. Now let me go get the laser. So I got the laser set up. It's maybe a little hard to see. I'll shut the lights off so you can see it. But the laser running right through the center of the motor mount, through the center of the plane, right through the center. I don't know how well you can see it. Shut the other light out. Might be a little better. So you can see right down it. The laser's coming right down the middle of the plane, just like you want. So, so I'm pretty happy with that. Now what I want to do is put a weight on this so it don't move. I got about a 15-pound weight that I put on there. That'll keep this locked in. Now the other thing I do want to check on is I really want to check on motor offset. And what I'll do is I clamp on my scale and I'll measure off both sides. Let me just get a clamp file on. I have to use an 8-inch scale. And again, make sure it's flat up against it. And where's my tape? Well, can't seem to find my tape measure. I hate when that happens. Well, there it is. Well, there you go. Hidden in plain sight. All right. So what I do is here I'm a little bit 22 and 3/16, shy of 3/16. 22 and 5/16. Okay, so we definitely got the offset we want. And this is going to become critical, especially when we're putting the top on. We really got to make sure that this is exactly. I got about 1/8 of an inch. A little much. So what I want to do is take a little bit out of it. And there's a little bit of play here. And I want to be about a 16. I'll be a 16th at it because I know it'll be a little more. Perfect. Okay. So I like that measurement. Now, what's critically important to hold this measurement in place, obviously we glue it up here and we put the top on, it'll gain more rigidity and really lock this in. So again, you always want the inboard side to be wider than the outboard side because you want to use the prop as tension. I usually strive for about an 8. Some guys use a quarter. I don't know if it matters much as long as it's out. So that's a strong 16th. Remember, go out another inch or so I'll gain a little more. So that's about right. Now, again, what you want to always do is just look down at how are we using the laser is definitely helpful. The other thing, before we glue it in, we're going to use a straight edge here to kind of just make sure we keep it straight as possible. Okay. All right. So that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Just take a look at it from all sides. Again, knowing that this mount is 90 degrees, it's perpendicular to the flat surface, knowing that the wing is parallel to the surface, it's going to give me 0 degrees angle, 0 degrees angle, and that was already set. That'll be 0 because these match. I check them to make sure nothing changed over time or over crash. And now the trick is we're going to lay glue in here. I will glue it in with CA, and then I will run some epoxy in some spots just to add a little extra strength. But overall, pretty good. Now, what I'll do is I'll use my straight edge here just to kind of make sure when I glue this in, to make sure we're not building anything. Okay. I'm just checking it all around. My meter is still at 0. What you want to do is just get it from all different angles, take a look. So I'm pretty happy with all of this. So now we're going to glue it in place. But just double checking everything. Looking at the bottom. All right. So pretty happy with it. And here we go. We're going to glue it. Let the fun begin. So now, yeah, I just want to keep this line going straight. What I recommend doing is tacking a couple spots, checking it. My finger. Definitely move my finger, and that hurts. Now I got it tacked in a few spots. Just really looking down it. I need some thick CA, some kicker. Just a little bit of a gap. What I like about the thick CA is you kind of run it in, and you got a little time before it kicks off. And the kicker will just help accelerate all that. It flew in the bulkhead to the wing. It only touches in the middle. And what I will do is put some balsa going this way, just to reattach it to the wing on another spot. Just because it's not all one. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Q-tips to help the CA kick off. I don't ever like to use kicker, especially on the outside parts. That's the popcorn. Okay, it's pretty good. Hmm. So that's a quick and easy way here, I guess, for days of work and setup and glued in a few minutes. All right. Looking at it, I think what I'm going to do is box this in to give me some extra connection here. So I'll cut a balsa rectangle to fit in here and really just tie in here. That last little piece, that'll just box this in. But I did, remember, I repaired this back here purposely so that I'll catch a bunch of the wing and add some strength to it. But it's so easy just to box a piece in here. Doesn't really add a lot of weight. So yeah. So what we'll do is we'll So I'll put a piece in cross grain. This is just going to add strength, and it really costs like almost no weight. I'm going to sand a little bit in. What do I do with my sanding block? You know, you put stuff away and then you forget where it goes. All right, so I got a bigger sanding block. So and all you want to do is, because remember this tapers in a little bit, so you want to add a little bit of taper to it. Then I'll just box in this piece in there. It just boxes this in, creates a bunch of strength with no weight. So by boxing that in, now I've now tied this former to this former. It adds a tremendous amount more strength here. And that thing's pretty solid. It's in there. All right, do that. I could run some glue on the bottom here. And for once, the fit on the bottom is tighter than the top, which is actually good. All right, so I just ran a bunch of CA in there, probably more than I need to. So what we'll do is we're gonna just make sure we got. We're gonna run blue fillet material in here when we'll finish anyway. So thick CA, or gap filling CA, and then take a paper towel and just wipe it off. Pretty good. All right, now just looking at this, letting the glue set up a little bit. I kind of I want to rough this in a little bit. Now I know that I cut it back. So what we're going to try to do is sneak up on this here. If I can fit it under the best. So what I'm doing is just marking to get the angle. It don't have to be perfect. It can be rough because you're going to rough it in. So you really just want to get the angle right, but then I can figure out how much I got to get off. The other thing I can do is once I get it close, I can kind of just fit it up on top. So once I'm closer, what I'll do is lay it on top and I'll mark clean side and it'll get me even a better fit. Per piece, so you gotta put it on the mat just helps. I'm just fitting this piece up now. So what I'm trying to do is just line up that one form where I want it, the nose, and then what I'll do I rough cut this out. So now, what I'm going to do is cut and leave the line. I'm going to cut on the inside border line. Just making sure there's no floor there. You got to be careful cutting because you don't want to break the piece. So carefully cut the other side. And I'm leaving the line. Okay, pretty close. The fit up is pretty good. So now what I got this fit up piece pretty good here. So I'm very happy with it. I'm going to tack glue it all in place. Then I got to pull the sides in. But again, I'm doing all these things in the jig, so this thing remains the way it's supposed to be. So let's get ready with the glue. And all we're going to do today is just tack this thing in place. So what I do is I just want to get it flush here at the top. Yeah. So of course I get it just about perfect, and I can't get the glue. So right now I'm using my finger. I just want to tack the top in. What I'll do is tack in a couple spots. Just tacking this in here. Now the front will fit up after once we get this all the way we want it. So now using a ruler, I still got a little bit of bow in it. I just want to get it right. I'll tack it in a couple spots. This last piece will be fit up with the nose ring. It's going to require some trimming, but looks pretty good. A little bit more of a blue theme here. All right, so it's pretty much all I got for today. It looks like we're pretty much locked in. We'll have to release it from the jig, make sure nothing moves, measure everything a bunch of times just to really make sure we got the right depth. Let me double check this. Back. 22 and a quarter. 22 and 5/16. So this way we're good. We got the right offset we wanted, propeller offset. We're perpendicular, right, to the flying plane. So now pretty much the rest of the repairs are all the cosmetic stuff. Um, got to fit the bottom block on, and I also got to install the landing gear. This had fuse gear, so I'll show you how I'm going to do that, but that will be next. Just really want to make sure it don't move from this mount. I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah, so overall pretty good. There is a little gap back here, which I kind of expected to happen right here, because I wasn't 100% positive exactly how high this was, so it's a little bit off, but it's nothing that you can't just put a little filler piece in and sand it out. All right. So hope you enjoyed that. Hope you guys picked something up on it. Next time we'll continue with putting the fuse gear and the bottom block together, and really then just the cosmetic stuff, nose ring, all those things that we're going to work through. All right. So thanks for watching.